He hit the ground before he realized he was falling. Dirt, wet leaves, and metal biting his arms. The fuselage steamed behind him like a dying engine's last breath, half sunk into the jungle floor. His ribs ached with every movement, but adrenaline gave no room for pain. Birds scattered overhead, the only witnesses to impact. He coughed once, tasted smoke and blood, then pulled himself fully into the light. "Survive first," he muttered. "Decode later." The inside of the jet looked like a swallowed museum. Technology, scorched and surrendered. Wires sparked faintly, like dying neurons. His reflection in a broken screen looked older than hours ago. He stepped over a spilled tablet, shattered satellite communicator beneath it. No rescue today. He dug through the galley drawer, found a heat-sealed ration pack and a half-melted flashlight. In the pilot's seat, he found his journal. Pages soaked, equations blurred into abstract art. "So much for math saving me now," he said, half smiling. He crouched beside the shattered engine, cowling, hands shaking from more than exhaustion. One loose panel was still polished. He lifted it, turned it skyward, reflecting flashes into the canopy. No drones above. No sound but buzzing insects and distant thunder. He tapped the metal 3 times in rhythm, like a launch countdown on. Nothing replied. The engine was dead, but its body might still serve a purpose. He propped a reflective sheet against a branch. A low-tech beacon in a high-tech mind. The tail section had sheared clean, its edge crumpled against a broad tree trunk. He peeled wires from inside the insulation, dragging out scraps of cabin fabric and an emergency tarp. His fingers trembled, tying knots like circuitry, tight, logical, precise. Rain began, sudden and heavy, drumming on the aluminum skin of the wreck. He crawled beneath the makeshift lean-to, shirt soaked, breath fogging. "I built solar cities," he muttered. "Now I'm building tents." Night bled into the trees, slow and warm, like ink in water. He sparked a flame with frayed wiring and battery casing, feeding it seat foam and dry palm bark. The fire caught hesitantly, like it questioned if he deserved its heat. He sat back, watching the sky dim, arms crossed, listening to the jungle breathe. No screen, no code, just instinct and flame. And beside him, the wreck steamed quietly, like a machine slowly forgetting its purpose. His hands moved with practiced calm, stripping bark like data from a corrupted system. The edge of the broken window caught light as he worked, eyes hollow but calculating. Each strip was fuel. Each motion bought him time. His stomach growled, but he didn't flinch. Hunger wasn't danger. It was an equation he knew how to delay. The black box was crushed like a failed prototype, barely recognizable among the twisted steel. He brushed insects away with the back of his hand and knelt to examine its core. Circuits was split, memory gone, transmission coil useless. He muttered, "You were supposed to speak for me, Isa," then leaned close, pressing his forehead to the casing for a second longer than necessary. He drew concentric circles in the dirt, aligning scraps of metal by sun position, his own analog satellite array. The canopy filtered light inconsistently, but he recalculated in real time, adjusting angles like orbital charts. "Information always flows," he said, "even if we forget how to catch it." It wasn't survival instinct. It was engineering in its purest form. He found the route by smell. Wet, bitter, but not poisonous. The engine blade was crude, but it bit through flesh and fiber like a code breaking into structure. He chewed slowly, letting the taste burn its way into memory. Calories meant another calculation bought in time. In the flicker of firelight, he turned the wreck into a whiteboard, drawing with soot, sketching an idea older than panic. Equations flowed beside arrows and diagrams. His fingers blackened but steady. "No signal?" he whispered. "Then build one." The wall bore his thoughts like scripture. Arcs, Radi, pulses. It wasn't hope. It was design. He stood on the edge of the wing, still warm from sun, listening for a world that refused to speak. Every rustle in the trees, every branch snap could be wind, or something else learning him. No engines, no rotors, just birds too quiet, and a silence too focused. He whispered, "You watching too?" Whatever waited in the trees didn't answer, but it never stopped listening. He sat where the light couldn't reach, breath slowed to nothing, eyes on the same patch of trees. A shattered monitor beside him reflected a fractured canopy, green cut by glitch. The jungle blinked in waves. First left, then center, then right. Not birds, not chance. Pattern. Signal doesn't have to be tech, he whispered. It just has to repeat. The plants burned slow and thick, smoke curling upward like a question without a mark. He watched it lift past the broken cockpit, then fade before it reached open sky. Height, he said aloud. I need more height. He dug into the jet, searching for tubing, wire, anything long, thin, stable. The nose of the craft would be his launch tower. Smoke was a signal, even to animals. Around the fire, he positioned metal like satellites, aimed in every direction, angled to bounce light and hope. Each panel caught flame, then twisted it into the canopy in bursts. He adjusted them through the night, like a conductor tuning a silent orchestra. The fire pulsed now, not like warmth, like Morse. He murmured, even chaos can speak, if shaped right. The morning came quiet, until it didn't. A branch cracked with too much rhythm to be random. Not wind, not wildlife. He stood instantly, every nerve wired in pre-launch silence. Finally, he said under breath. Someone pressed record. He turned toward the sound and stepped out of the wreck's shadow. He rewired the idea before the device. Scraps from an old power cell, wrapped in foil, pressed with hope. The click was too soft to promise anything, but the light blinked once. Green Darwanishi. He adjusted the dials slowly, breath held, eyes narrow. Static returned, then a faint ping, then silence again. That's enough, he said. You heard me. He packed only what mattered. 2 water packs, dried root, 1 flare, the journal. The rest he left behind, torn panels, burnt cables, the equations that saved nothing. He knotted the tarp tight around his shoulders. The satchel hung like an anchor and compass both. The system rebooted, he said, and this is the new oasis. The jungle had begun to reclaim it, roots curling into cockpit seams, moss spreading over seats. From a distance, it looked less like a crash site, more like a forgotten temple. He stared for one long breath. Not mourning, just marking. Version 1 ends here, he said, then turned. The climb was brutal, slick, jagged, indifferent, but his steps didn't falter. The machete whispered against vines, each swing clearing both path and hesitation. He checked the compass every 20 paces. It spun once, then settled a true north. Survival isn't luck, he said. It's math under pressure. He broke through the last curtain of green and found height. Sky above, river below. Silence all around. But the wind met him like applause withheld until the final act. He stood tall, not triumphant, just awake. I'm not the signal, he whispered. I'm the return. And behind him, deep in the jungle, the wreckage exhaled one last gust of smoke and vanished.